A brief recap of Sean Diddy Combs' Manhattan trial. Manhattan, New York, May 12th through the 13th, Sean Diddy Combs Freak-Off Trial, Day 1 and 2. Day 1, May 12th of 2025, opening statements and their first witness from the prosecution argument. Now, federal prosecutors describe Combs as the leader of a criminal enterprise that exploited women for sexual favors over 2 decades. They introduced testimony from Daniel Phillips and a former associate who detailed how Sean Diddy Combs allegedly orchestrated drug-fueled sex parties and used threats to maintain control over victims. Now, the defense position is showing that Sean Combs' legal team contended that all interactions were consensual and that the prosecution case was based on an unreliable testimony. That was day 1. Day 2, May 13th of 2025, Cassie Ventura's testimony. So Cassie is an ex-girlfriend or sexual escapade to Sean Diddy. Provided detailed testimony about the abuse she endured during their 11-year relationship. She describes being coerced into participating in sex parties, enduring physical assaults, and being manipulated through threats. So let's get into the evidence that was presented. The prosecution presented surveillance footage from the 2016 video showing Combs assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway, and Cassie testified that she was paid $50,000 to suppress the video at that time. So let's keep in mind, during the opening statement on Monday, now the defense noted that Cassie and Combs have not seen each other in more than 6 years. So this is the first time they've actually seen each other face to face in 6 years. Now that changed on Tuesday because first, Sean wasn't really looking at her, but now, Diddy looked at her when she walked in and began to testify. So let's get into some more in-depth trial circumstances and questions. So let's look into that. So just a little back history. Diddy signed Cassie to his Bad Boys, a record label, in 2006. She was just then 19 years old. She's currently 38 and pregnant. Now, though 17 years younger than Diddy, Cassie and her decided to take their relationship to another level. And she wanted to be around the man, she said, who catapulted rap music and urban fashion into the mainstream, just like everyone else. She says for the same reasons. So she said that he was just exciting and an entertaining guy that also happened to have her career in his hands. She also went on to say during their relationship, as she continued on, that she began to experience a different side of Diddy, one that features fits of rage and violent outbursts and unpredictable mood swings just out of nowhere. So let's go back to Diddy for a moment. Now, you know that he pleaded not guilty and denied the federal charges. Now, his lawyers insist that any sexual conduct was consensual, and though Combs' lifestyle may not be appropriate for everyone, law enforcement has no right to invade his bedroom and private life. They also insist that any acts of assault show domestic violence, but not coercion or evidence of trafficking. Now let's go back to Cassie and her testimony. Now, Cassie also mentioned that Diddy paid her $20 million to settle her civil lawsuit against him in 2023. She also testified to spinning out of control and just self recovering from horrible flashbacks in 2023, relating back to some of the things that she had to endure while being with Diddy. Now, some of the questions that they asked Cassie was, how many songs did you write while you were with Diddy? And were any albums released? And her answer was, she wrote hundreds, and most was never released. Some got leaked on the internet and some on mixtapes. And then they said, how many albums on your deal were not released? And she said 9. They asked her, did she get paid for them? She said no. Other questions was when they moved to LA, they said, who paid your rent in LA? And she said that Sean did, except for when I had the house in Studio City. And they asked her, why did you pay then? She said because she could afford it. And then she also wanted to have some control over her life and who comes and who goes. And it was accepted. And they said, by whom? And she said, Diddy. So then they began to ask her about the parties, or commonly known as the freak-offs. And she said that the freak-offs became a job. There was no time to do anything else but do them, then try to recover. They asked her, how much time in your week would freak-offs take place? She said the longest was 4 days, significant periods of time where she didn't have time for herself or anyone else, only to comply with Diddy's request for the freak-offs. Well, this has been the recap of day 1 and day 2 of Sean Diddy's trial and Cassie Testifies. Make sure you tune in for more. Guys, comment below, share your thoughts. I definitely want to hear from you and how you feel about this case, and where do you think it's going to go? Do you think he's going to be convicted, or do you think he's going to be acquitted? Comment, let me know. Acquitted or convicted? Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And please hit the notification bell so that you are made aware of each and every upload.